Welcome to SUSD Spotlight, your go-to source for all things happening within the district. Whether it's celebrating student and staff achievements, delving into trending education topics, or highlighting inspiring human interest stories, we've got you covered. Join us as we illuminate the incredible endeavors taking place in our schools and forge connections within our community. Get ready to be informed, inspired, and engaged as we embark on this journey together, spotlighting the extraordinary in SUSD. Welcome to another edition of SUSD Spotlight. Today we're excited to be talking about a very important and timely topic related to school attendance, and we have in studio Margaret Serna, Executive Director of Elementary Education, Kelly Perry, the proud principal of Yavapai Elementary. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So I think it would be great if we could start by learning a little bit about your educational trajectories and what brought you to the positions you're in today. Ms. Serna, would you like to start?
Absolutely. I am a 47-year veteran of the Arizona educational system, and I started off as a kindergarten teacher, then moved on to assistant principal, to a principal, and now I'm the executive director of elementary schools, and I help guide our elementary principals.
And how long were you principal at Tavon Elementary here in Scottsdale?
23 years.
Pretty impressive. So Kelly, tell us about your background.
Well, thank you for asking. So one thing I always lead off with is that I am a multi-generational Arizona educator. My grandfather was a teacher. My father was a teacher. My stepmom was a teacher. So I'm a proud Arizona native teacher. And I'm also a fourth generation Arizonan. My children are fifth generation, and my grandson is sixth generation.
Oh, wow.
So I'm very proud to be representing Arizona education. I actually started in another district. I've been teaching and leading for 20 years. I was in the classroom for 14 years, and I made the transition to administration about 7 years ago maybe. And I was again in another district. I came over in 2018 to Scottsdale. I started off at Tonalea as an instructional coach and landed in administration at Hohokam and Yavapai, and I've been happy ever since.
Well, we're so glad to have you both here. Reading the headlines in the news, one of the things that comes up after COVID is the challenge that many districts are facing with respect to attendance. Is that something that we're seeing here in Scottsdale, and why is it important to pay attention to attendance?
Absolutely, Dr. Menzel. We all know that after the world of COVID, everything changed. Everything changed in the homes, in the schools, and when we started coming back to live teaching, we were really surprised at the attendance rate. It had gone down approximately 30%. Scottsdale was right along with most of the other schools in the nation, and as it progresses, the problem worsens, and also there's a direct correlation with student achievement and with the dropout rate tied to attendance. The more years that they're chronically absent, the more likely they are not even to make it to high school, less graduate. But where we are different, we decided to be proactive and move on it immediately. I served on the strategic planning team, and one of our KIPs was to increase attendance. So we took the bull by the horns and ran with it, and I'm really proud to say we've been pretty successful.
Kelly, I'm curious what you see in Yavapai Elementary School, because you're dealing still with littles. So how important is it for this message to resonate now and early?
Well, thank you for asking, Christine. It is critical that our kids show up so that they can learn and grow. And like Ms. Serna said, the more that they're not in school, the less likely they're going to be able to perform when they come to school. When they come to school and we see good attendance, we see them learn at a faster rate. We also want to talk about the community feel that the students have an opportunity to experience within the classroom. When our kiddos are not in the classroom, it changes for them and it changes for the community inside the classroom. So it's really important for our kids to come each and every day, not only to learn and grow, but to develop that sense of community and love for learning.
And so how do you excite them to come to school every day?
Well, we have a lot of fun things that are going on at Yavapai these days. I like to think about it in terms of the 3 C's. We like to communicate frequently with families. We also collaborate very closely with the teachers and keep on top of who is not coming and what we can do to help support that. And finally, we celebrate a lot, and we celebrate in tiers. So every day we have an all-star dollar that we give out. So those kiddos randomly that are in school, if we call their name, they get $1. I have to give credit to Hohokam because they started it and I borrowed it from our good friends at Hohokam, but that seems to be really exciting, and they're featured on our morning announcements. We also have every 2 weeks, we have a classroom celebration for the highest attendance. Every 2 weeks, we shout out one homeroom, and then we go into our monthly students of the month that have the best attendance, and we highlight them in our flag ceremonies. And then we go to quarterly. So we have layers of celebration at our schools, and everybody wants to be one of those kids.
And how is it paying off?
Well, thank you for asking that question too. We were the number 1 in growth last year, and we are so proud to continue that trajectory. I look at my numbers constantly. That's one of the things that I actually enjoy doing because I get to see the benefits, and we get that immediate feedback in terms of looking at our daily and weekly attendance. My registrar as well is very excited to keep that trajectory going. So how do I feel about it? I'm excited, and I want to be number 1 again.
I agree.
So can you talk a little bit about the competition, Margaret?
Absolutely, Dr. Menzel. Last year, we were very blessed that we had support, especially from you, that we could have a contest. There's one thing that I am sure of is principals are competitive. And I know when I was the principal, I wanted to win every contest. So what we did, first of all, we developed a committee that was that consisted of all the stakeholders, both elementary, middle, and high school, teachers, administrators, counselors, nurses, whomever we could possibly get together and talked about the importance of attendance. In Scottsdale, we have what we call our WIGS, Wildly Important Goals. And we have 3 this year. The first one is attendance, student achievement, and enrollment. Those are the 3 things that drive our district right now for the benefit of our students. And we found out very quickly, if they have great attendance, student achievement goes up. If student achievement goes up, parents want to bring them to our Scottsdale schools. So we started a competition, and we were going to reward 3 winners, but we had such success, we had to reward 4 winners. So we're doing it this year, and Dr. Menzel and Christine, it's been so much fun to see the competitiveness between the principals, between the kids, the parents, everybody's on board. It's really, really a village that's going to raise the attendance scores. And last year, we met our goal at 92.5%. And when we sat down and we figured out how many more days of instruction did we have, came out to 35,000 more days. When you divide the number of students along with the schools, we had 35,000 more children sitting in the classroom. This year we're going for 93%, which means that if we look at the past 2 years, that will be an increase of 50,000 days of instruction. How can we not be successful?
It's super powerful. And additionally, it sounds like attendance is a team sport. There are so many people involved in making sure that our students get to school. And it starts obviously at the home and with the reinforcement at the schools, of course, and the fun opportunities that you guys have. And while there is this competition, are the principals really learning best practices from each other and seeing what works and trying? I know you mentioned Hohokam, but do we have some other good examples that each other are learning from?
Absolutely. At our principals meeting that we have bi-weekly, we always sit down and share ideas. And the number one thing that works for attendance is building relationships. The children need to have relationships with their teachers, with their school nurse, with their cafeteria worker, with their principal, with their classmates. And you can't build those relationships if you're not there. And we share constant strategies, best practices, Every day when I come and open up my email, I've got videos, testimonials. It's a real movement. And we have learned very much. And this year we celebrate A and B labels, brick and mortar schools. That's because they're here. We can't teach them if they're not here.
So I suspect that the reasons students are missing are different, not only for elementary students, but middle school and high school. And elementary students rquire on someone else to ensure they come to school on time every day. Middle school and high school, they begin to get a little bit more self-agency with respect to that. So what are you seeing in terms of the trends? Why are students missing?
It depends. It's different according to different schools. Every school is an individual school, individual program. They all have individual issues with attendance. We see illness, we see school refusal, we see a lot of those things. But in Scottsdale, one thing that we see a lot that I don't think is the trend in other districts is we go on vacation. And we're working very hard to make sure that our parents know that vacations are during the summers, during the breaks, not in the middle of the school year. And we understand that going on vacations, traveling, that's a part of a child growing up and everything. But they need to be in the classroom, and we can arrange vacations at other times. And you know who the biggest advocate for that is? The child. The child. We want a school where our principals and teachers provide what we call FOMO, fear of missing out. He's a good artist. He doesn't want to miss that art class. He's an athlete. He needs to be in that PE class. He's a musician. And the kids are now sending the message loud and clear to their parents. Yeah, I want to go on that cruise, but let's go during the summer. I need to be in school.
And what are you hearing from parents, Kelly?
A lot of parents, I think, are happy that we're bringing this to light. And I think a lot of families that have always had good attendance feel really validated that they knew in their hearts that this was the right thing to do. I think that parents appreciate the communication around it, especially the positives. They want to see all of the success that's happening at our school. And attendance is definitely on the top of the list there. So it's fun to be able to share that celebration with the families, invite them in so that they can take pictures, post it on social media and all of that stuff. So,
well, and we know we have an online school, and that if someone is looking for that opportunity, because they do have other, commitments in life that they need to manage, there is that option in our school district. But it's hard to replace the engagement with the instructional leader in that classroom. I think a lot of us parents, I know I saw it firsthand at home when kids were at home online learning. I mean, some of us can work from home, but learning from home is totally different.
And you know what, Christine, the thing that's most important for our kids, and when you look at some of the big Fortune 500 companies, they're looking for the best and the brightest, but they're looking for people that know how to get along with each other, people that know how to be empathetic, caring, yet doing their job. And when kids come to school, they build relationships with each other, lifelong friends, good role modeling. And when they're online or when they are not going to school, what an opportunity is being missed.
So we talked about chronic absenteeism representing student missing 10% or more of the school year. So 2 days a month and you're there. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but from an academic perspective, students fall further and further behind. What's the impact on teachers when students are missing?
Well, I know it impacts planning and instruction, and we do a lot of informal assessment during the class time. And so when students are not there for those opportunities, teachers start to miss opportunities to fill in gaps, especially with assessment. And so I know teachers get a little frustrated when the students are chronically absent, because then they have to go back and they have to try and identify who those students are. They have to fill in gaps. They have to give assessments again that they had already given. And honestly, like Ms. Serna said, it's the relationship building that the teachers are seeing happen or not happen when students are here or not here.
Where do we go from here?
Up. We go up, and every time we set the bar, we raise it higher. And most of all, we celebrate our kids. The celebrations, and I have to just share a real quick story. When Principal Perry found out that they were number one in the district of attendance, I surprised her at a assembly where all the kids were there. When I announced it, she ran across the cafeteria. She was jumping up and down doing It was just crazy. The kids went wild. The teachers went wild. I never saw such a celebration, which leads me to say, if you want to be part of a community, you have to be there. Get to school.
Well, I am encouraged by the commitment to raising attendance and actually blown away by the level of enthusiasm. And the proof's in the pudding. The data's there. The students are showing up, and it's compelling in terms of the way you're approaching it. At the end of every podcast, I like to ask my guests to think about a teacher who made a difference in your life, maybe influenced your career choice or in some other way made a difference. I like to elevate the profession. And I want to get both of you to give a shout out to a teacher who's made a difference in your lives.
Well, I always talk about, and this question is pretty frequent in education, who is that teacher? I talk about a fourth grade teacher named Miss Donk, and she was one of the most powerful teachers simply because she got to know me as a person. She understood me as an individual. She knew what my interests were. At that time, I was really into Barbie dolls, like a lot of fourth grade girls were at the time. And I remember vividly her bringing in her collection, and we had lunch together, and it was just that one moment where she connected with me that changed everything. And so I just always reflect back, and I always wonder where she went, but she was a very powerful image, especially with regard to creating that special relationship that teachers have the opportunity to do with their students.
They're really investing in the lives of the next generation.
I'm going to go in a little bit different direction. The educator that influenced my life was a school nurse, and she influenced me my first year of teaching. It was tough. Mm-hmm. It was at a school. I was a bilingual teacher, and it was a rough crowd, and there was many times that I just couldn't get up in the morning. I kept thinking, can I do this again? And I would walk in, and that nurse just greeted me, told me how happy she was that I was showing up to school, how much the kids loved me, and what impressed her most was how much I showed the love for the kids. I don't know if I would have gotten through my first year of teaching without her encouragement. And here I am. I've stayed 47 years.
It proves that the people in the system truly do make a difference. Both of you are making a difference in the lives of our Scottsdale Unified School District students. I want to thank you so much for being with us today and for your advocacy for student attendance.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Menzel.
And thank you for joining us on today's SUSD Spotlight. We hope that you will check us out on our website, susd.org/spotlight, and pitch us some ideas for future episodes.
Thank you. This was fun.